Welcome back to Trekyards, everyone, where we dauntlessly dive into ships and tech and cool stuff and reviews and comparisons. I'm Captain Foley.
Slipstream! I'm Connor Kongs.
Had to get one in there, didn't you?
Well, you threw me the curveball of think. I gotta go fast yet. The brain's gotta go. Slipstream, think of the Drake Slipstream.
Ooh, that's good. See,
there you go, I saved it.
Yeah. Today we're talking about the Dauntless from Prodigy episode 14, Crossroads. We got a few other shots of it, and we're going to take a look at it. It's kind of a follow-up. We've already kind of taken a first look at it, so yeah.
And if you recall, the reverse angle in its first appearance was very stretched for all the reasons. So these are actually slightly clearer. We get a better sense, although they were pretty kind to show us a very clear version of it in the first time we saw it. So, but you know, it's been many months. How do we feel? And we've seen it in motion now. That's important. We've seen a full episode of it being active in the plot. Vibes are going to change. So these are the sort of first two shots. So how did you think now seeing her actually do Starfleet things? And obviously this season so far with a few flybys here and there.
I mean, it's good to see more ships, honestly, and good shots of ships, but it's still an ugly ship in my opinion. Even in motion and doing things, not a big fan. What are your thoughts? I know you like the Dauntless, the original one as well. So,
I mean, I think it's certainly a flawed version of the Dauntless. And now, interesting, looking back at this, I mean, I don't know what that back grill is. That just huge empty space grill. That must be hugely important, because that's the thing. But I felt like all they did was they just moved the neck down so that it had a big sort of hump vibe. But that in motion, it's not great. It's sort of Cerritos level of ugly.
Yeah.
But that has more like small details that kind of feel more appropriate. This kind of is very smooth.
The original one was a little bit more bulky back there. I'm sure we'll have a comparison at some point here. But I'm not a fan of those nacelles. They look kind of ugly from the back. From the front, they don't look too bad. But again, I hate the position they're in. I hate that they're not, pulled out a little bit further. They're way too close to the hull. But slipstream, so technology, it's fine, I guess. But it just there's not a lot going on at the back. It just looks very almost fan made. I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely of a lower caliber 3D model than the Protostar, and I'm sure we would have assumed they would have upgraded it in the 6 months between its first. Okay, we're gonna get it here and now today for this shot versus it's now a hero ship, because it does feel like a significantly worse model than the Protostar. That is the titular ship, but we're also going to see it plenty. Well, there is a couple of close-ups, which we'll see in a minute, that do look better, but certainly these aren't great. And it's sad because the front shot, if you take away the nacelles, is just the Dauntless, and that looks great to me. So as soon as you add the new bit, it's like, oh, okay. Like, I'd be fine, I suppose, if that back portion of the saucer was a huge shuttle bay, as if they, I don't know. But they've removed the shuttle bay entirely.
I think we should clarify for people that might not know, the Dauntless NX-01 originally showed up in Voyager, but it wasn't actually a Federation ship. It was an alien construct, and basically a holographic shell over an actual ship.
Yeah, it's not clear. The insides were holographic. The outside, we can either assume was sort of customized look Starfleet or coincidentally looked Starfleet, because it's close enough to be Starfleet mostly. It's kind of left a bloke. Yeah.
So it was never actually a Federation ship, and then they got the scans of it from Voyager, and I guess they went ahead and built this slipstream. Yeah.
Which is fine, logical. I mean, it worked, and slipstream is a radically useful technology. But the next shot, though, is one of those few actual close-ups that actually shows us something new. I want to highlight this because it has more detail.
Yeah, the plate detailing looks good. Hard to judge size. I mean, we usually use windows. I mean, how many decks are here? Because even that top part has smaller windows that are slits. Looks almost Imperial in design, like Star Wars. So, but no, it's nice to get more detail. I do like the hull texturing, honestly. I think that's kind of neat.
It's real weird, though. I mean, some of these windows are touching.
Yeah.
Which is wrong.
I just think it's the brightness tweaked up, that it just looks like they're touching, because those look really bright. Too bright.
Yeah, but there's loads that aren't touching, though. And it's pretty much a straight side on. And also the way there's some of them touch the plate lines, it's clear texture They're not even real geometry. They're just a flat window texture. And like you said, those tiny windows, you can see them. You can see literally the texture blur. It's not even high resolution windows. I mean, it certainly feels 2001 video game quality. 1999. For cuts. I mean, the original Dauntless model, which we'll see in a minute, looks nice in this. Maybe less crisp textures, but they certainly put more geometry in. And like, what are these side square glows? They're not windows. They don't look like windows. They don't feel like windows, but I guess they're windows.
Well, yeah. Even the retro or the RCS area, which it's got the same glows as the windows.
And I guess the docking port in the middle, I guess. Which would be silly.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, when you zoom in, it does look like a cargo door.
I don't know if a Star Trek fan designed this in the team. I feel like maybe this was given to Jeff. Because they can't all be Star Trek fans, But the next shot, though, I think this bottom certainly has a lot more detail. I still love the slipstream generator, but that's just verbatim off Voyager. I do like the nacelles. I think they're simple, yet Starfleet, yet advanced, yet simple. It's a nice hybrid of things. Very Protostar front, which works well. And I guess, under coils and slit back coils. So very Star Trek Online. These would be perfect in Star Trek Online. I mean, that kind of feels like the inspiration.
Yeah, it's got that the chiller grills on like the bottom, and that's cool actually.
I noticed that from previous shots.
It's kind of, I don't know. I'm not a fan of these nacelles at all. They're way too simplified, and they look very Kelvin-esque.
I would say more organic TOS, like if you had some more polys. But I'm looking at the neck windows, how squished they are in a curve. Like it's such a texture. It's such a, well, what can we put there? Yeah, let's throw some window texture in. There's no thought there. You can kind of feel it. Kind of feels like it was slightly thrown together.
Yeah.
Next view, though, a direct comparison, and I think the 1997 model looks better.
I do too. It actually has escape pods.
It does.
Which we can't see any other ones on the Dauntless.
And this is a real Starfleet ship that would have these things. The fake one, it has the slots for them. You can see where if they've mimicked the hull plating different parts, but they've missed the actual detailings.
Yeah, I agree. I think the one from Voyager from back in the 90s looks better.
Yep. I mean, it was a hero model. I mean, it was meant to be up close, etc. But I mean, it is very close. But they've definitely, you can see what they've done. They've shrunk a few things and they've shifted everything down to make it less integrated. But it's so freaking sexy and sleek as the original, in my opinion. The other one loses that, but keeps the vibe of the sleek, but loses the sleek at the same time.
Yeah, it feels more gangly and awkward.
Yes, awkward's a good word. Yeah.
Yeah. The integration of those nacelles, how they're tucked up, and like with no Bassard collectors, I actually really like that look compared.
Well, like if you're going Bassards, go like slit Bassards to kind of match, because everything here seems to be like thin lines. Do 3 slit Bassards, which would mirror the slipstream emitter and the warp grills. That would be an aesthetic that would continue through the whole thing.
If you look at the side of the one from Voyager, you got the lines going down, which they've carried over to the new one, but kind of a different look a little bit. So they've maintained the visual cues, but then upgraded them, and it's probably responsible for the slipstream or whatever. There's probably some kind of explanation that helps with that. I don't know, but nice attention to detail in keeping that anyway. So
yeah, it's definitely 70% the same saucer, which is lovely. It's lovely to see. But then, like, why are their saucer rim not windows? The original one knew not to include them, And the scaling, I mean, the Dauntless isn't huge. It's Voyager-esque, but a little bit smaller. The windows are roughly where they are, but there's more of them. But it's giant in the show. Because I was tempted to scale shot with our Protostar model, but we don't know the confirmed size of that, so it's like close enough, but not quite. But the next view, of course, is the reverse. See what I mean about they've just sort of shifted the back, the spine down, and kept a lot of other stuff the same. It's been sort of just shifted around a bit.
Yeah, there's aspects of each that I like, but I do prefer the Voyager version better. It feels more like a humpback or a turtle compared to this one anyway. This one's much sleeker, and but yeah, there's some weird choices there.
Because the Voyager one was actually a full design by Rick Sternbach. Like, he actually had a concept, a design, execution. This one, they've taken the saucer of the Dauntless and done an entire different secondary hull. So nothing is of the same design aesthetic. You could argue is part of the point. They need the saucer to make the slipstream work. Secondary hull, yeah. But this was already pretty great, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, and like I said, the nacelles on the Voyager one I much prefer, even though I'm not a huge fan of them.
No, you are not.
I'm not a huge fan of the original Dauntless. I really prefer those nacelles over the new ones, because the new ones just seem so simple and, like I said, fan made almost. Well,
it's because they fit the aesthetic. They blend with what the design's going for. The nacelles and the Dauntless are new one are entirely different aesthetically to everything else. Although the saucer is more different than I thought. It's way smoother. The Dauntless, the original one, is far more intricately angled.
Yeah, it's got some nice curves going up. Yeah, I noticed that from the front view, actually.
Well, also, the texturing doesn't quite hold up as well from the back, but you pretty much never see it from the back, so... As in the original one.
And even the new one, the Prodigy one, has like the striping on the side, but no, it's not actually a pennant because there's no delta. It's just weird red lines. For the sake of having red lines.
And this is a Starfleet ship, so this does need to have the USS Dauntless at the back, and the shuttle bay, and the pennant, and on the nacelle. Like, this should be their time to include everything back, but... Oh, guys. It's an unfinished model, Stuart, that they've put into production, and they had 6 months to finish, they just didn't. Oh, and look, the sheen... Also, on the new Dauntless, the sheen of the specularity is hitting the impulse drives, and making the impulse drives brighter. But those are light sources. You don't make light sources brighter. Those red should... That means they've got a texture on top of the red, and it's all flat. That's a rendering mistake, that is. Oof.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow.
But the bridge is fantastic.
The bridge is great.
The bridge is like a gold star. Like, really.
So's the sick bay. I like the sick bay, too.
That's okay. It's a room, Stuart. It's a room. So, what do you think, though? Now you've seen it in detailed, do you have any sort of, go up to the first shot then? Now, having seen it, do you have any sort of more appreciation for it? More knowledge of it? What do you think?
I got more appreciation for the original one.
Hey!
Which I never liked.
It's a victory, I feel like.
Yeah, you guys would know that if you watched our videos. Not a fan of the Dauntless design. But yeah, I appreciate the Rick Sternbach one a lot better because of this one. But I get it. This is like... That was an alien ship that was never actually Federation. This is the Federation adaptation of that design. That's fine. I don't know. It's okay. Anyway, on that it's okay note, comment down below what you thought about this ship and the comparisons in this video. And for anybody screaming at me that it's not the NX-01, it is. It's the NX-01 Dauntless. Just for the record. So like the video, subscribe to the channel, and join us for lives where we talk about this kind of stuff and much more. We love our community and want you to be a part of it. So make sure you subscribe.
And if you can, while you're there on our channel, super thanks, on any video that we've done, or if you see us live or want to tune in for our lives, super chat. Anything you want to say about any topic, because even if the topic's about one thing, throw us something else and yeah, we'll discuss it. Or PayPal at trekyards@hotmail.com, or Patreon monthly, or join the channel on YouTube. All great ways. We thank you for any and all ways.
That's right. So until next time, he is Commander Cocky.
He's Captain Foley. Bye, guys.
See you guys later.